The night shift on the Zillan trade patrol ship, Vorex Watch, had been quiet for weeks. Captain Reth Vacker, an old and experienced officer, leaned back in his chair, watching the empty starfield on the main screen. Most nights out. Here were the same, long, slow, and uneventful. The patrol was stationed on the edge of the Zillan neutral corridor, a busy lane for merchant ships traveling between sectors. They were used to scanning cargo ships, dealing with smugglers, or occasionally helping a damaged freighter limp home. But tonight was different. A young sensor officer, Lyra Vaughn, frowned at her console. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual." Reth's eyes opened slowly. "Unusual how?" "It's a ship, sir. But it's not sending an identification code. And," she paused, looking even more confused, "it's moving, but there's no engine signature, no ion trail, nothing." That got the captain's attention. He leaned forward. "Put it on the screen." The main display flickered, and a shape appeared in the distance. A massive silhouette, darker than the space around it. No lights, no markings. It drifted silently through the void like a ghost. Reth frowned. "Zoom in." The image sharpened. The hull was long and armored, but unlike any ship he had seen. The plating looked seamless, as if it was grown instead. "Of built, size?" he asked. "Over 3 kilometers in length," Lyra said quietly. "It's huge, Captain. Bigger than any freighter." And her hands moved over the console nervously. "Sir, it's coming from the unmapped region beyond the corridor." That was bad. Ships from unmapped space were rare and dangerous. First warning signs the ship wasn't responding to any hails. Reth ordered long-range scans, but something strange happened. Every time the sensors tried to map the vessel, the readings came back scrambled, like static. "It's jamming us?" one of the crew asked. Lyra shook her head. "No, sir, it's not jamming. It's reflecting the scans. Like the ship is looking back at us." Reth didn't like that at all. "Mark the position. Send a priority alert to Central Command." The message was sent. But before they could even finish the report, the strange ship changed course. "It's turning," Lyra whispered. "It's heading straight for us." The crew went silent. Reth felt a chill. He had faced pirates, smugglers, and even hostile fleets before. But there was something about this. Something unnatural. "Bring us about. Keep our distance." The Vorex Watch began to retreat slowly, engines at low power. But the ghost ship kept coming, closing the gap with ease, even though it showed no sign of engines. "Captain, speed estimate says it's moving at 20,000 clicks per second." Reth's jaw tightened. That was impossible without visible propulsion. The probe incident, they needed answers. Reth ordered a recon probe launched, a small drone designed to scan ships from a safe distance. The crew watched the small blip on their screens as the probe approached the dark vessel. The moment it got within 100 kilometers, the signal cut out. What happened? Reth snapped. Lyra stared at her console. "It's gone. No explosion, no debris, just gone." Another officer swallowed nervously. "Captain, permission to retreat to the outer lane?" Before Reth could answer, the ship stopped moving. It just floated there in silence. It was. Watching them. Rumors spread across the sector by the next rotation. Word of the mysterious vessel had already reached other patrol ships and nearby traders. Stories spread fast. Some said it was an ancient warship. Others said it was a ghost from the old wars, cursed to wander forever. The Zillan High Council didn't believe rumors. They sent orders. A research fleet would intercept the vessel. They wanted it scanned, boarded, and identified. For the aliens, knowledge was power, and this ship was unlike anything in their archives. Reth's patrol was ordered to stay in the area until the research fleet arrived. The arrival of the research fleet, 3 cycles later, the research fleet entered the sector. Leading them was the flagship Vonner's Pride. commanded by Admiral Corvolis, a hard, no-nonsense leader who believed every mystery could be solved with enough analysis. Alongside the flagship were 4 escort cruisers and 2 science vessels, equipped with the most advanced scanning arrays in the sector. They hailed Reth's patrol ship, Captain Vaker. The Admiral's deep voice echoed through the comms. "You will maintain position and relay all your data to us. We'll take it from here." Reth nodded, but he had a bad feeling. "Be careful, Admiral. This ship is different." The Admiral smiled coldly. "Everything can be explained, you'll see." First contact. From a distance the fleet approached the mysterious vessel slowly. Scans were fired from every angle. The science officers on the Vonner's Pride reported strange readings. The hull, it's made of an unknown alloy. Density far greater than our strongest armor. It also seems to heal itself when scratched by micrometeors. More unsettling was the fact that the ship's interior could not be mapped. Every scan came back showing empty space inside, which made no sense for a vessel of this size. It's as if one scientist muttered, "The ship isn't there in the way we understand." A dangerous decision after hours of trying. Admiral Volis decided the only way to get real answers was to board the ship. A small team of soldiers and scientists was prepared. They would enter through a small docking port near the ship's midsection. Captain Reth watched from the Vorex watch as the boarding shuttle detached from the flagship and moved toward the dark vessel. The moment the shuttle crossed into 100 kilometers, the same distance as the lost probe, the strange ship reacted. Small, faint lights flickered along its hull for the first time. Not bright navigation lights, but a dim red glow, like the eyes of some enormous predator opening in the dark. Inside the ghost ship, the boarding party entered through a hatch that seemed to open on its own. No one touched it. The interior was pitch black at first, but then floor lights switched on, one by one, leading deeper into the corridor. The walls were made of the same smooth, seamless alloy as the outside. No signs of rivets, bolts, or welding. It was like walking inside the body of some gigantic creature. The air was breathable, but cold. Too cold. Every sound seemed louder here. The echo of boots on metal, the hiss of breathing through helmets. "This place feels alive," one soldier whispered. The heart of the ship. After 20 minutes of following the illuminated path, the team entered a large circular chamber. At its center floated a black cube, about the size of a human head. It hovered above a small pedestal, slowly rotating. The scientists immediately began scanning it, but their devices showed nothing. No energy reading, no material composition, nothing at all. One brave scientist, Dr. Helva Kaur, Reth's distant cousin, reached out and touched the cube. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, the lights in the entire chamber flared bright. White. Every member of the boarding team froze as a voice echoed, not through speakers, but directly inside their minds. It spoke in perfect Zalem language, but with an accent none of them had heard before. "Identify yourself." Panic and confusion. The team's comms erupted with shouts. The Admiral demanded a status report. But before they could reply, the voice spoke again, this time in a different alien tongue. Then another. And another. Every person heard it in their own native language, as if the ship knew exactly who they were. Dr. Hell tried to speak. "We are from the Zalen Research Fleet. The voice interrupted. "Unauthorized presence detected. State your intent." The soldiers raised their weapons instinctively, but the Admiral barked at them to hold fire. "We come in peace," Hell said carefully. "We only wish to understand what you are." There was a pause. "You may attempt analysis, but interference will not be tolerated." The cube stopped rotating. The chamber went dark again, except for a single path of lights leading back toward the docking hatch, the exit, and the fear. The boarding team returned to the shuttle. shaken and silent. As soon as they left, the hatch closed behind them without a sound. Back aboard the Vonner's Pride, Admiral Volus ordered all data to be transferred for analysis. But deep down, many of the crew felt uneasy. This was no ordinary derelict ship. It was watching them, listening to them, and perhaps judging them. Captain Reth, still aboard his patrol ship, stared at the silent giant on his screen and whispered to himself, "This isn't the beginning of a study. This is the beginning of something else." The dark vessel drifted quietly in space, but now faint red lines glowed across its hull like ancient runes awakening. And far away, in the cold darkness beyond the neutral corridor, something else had heard the activation signal. The Vonner's Pride hung in silent orbit near the mysterious vessel. On the main bridge, Admiral Curvoli stared at the holoscreen showing the alien warship's black silhouette. No engines, no life signs, yet somehow alive. The boarding team had just returned. They were shaken, pale faces, stiff movements, eyes darting around as if they feared the walls might start talking to them. Dr. Helvacker carried a datapad close to his chest. It contained the limited recordings from inside the ship, footage of the dark corridors, the glowing cube, and the strange voice that spoke directly into their minds. Admiral Volus broke the silence. "Dr. Vakar, what did you see in there?" Hell hesitated. "Sir, it's not an abandoned vessel. It's active. And it knows we are here." The Admiral frowned. "Active? We saw no crew." Hell looked at him sharply. "That's because the ship itself is the crew." Analyzing the data in the main science lab aboard the Vonner's Pride, the researchers began working. They had hours of video and audio recordings from the boarding mission, as well as partial readings from the cube. But the first problem was, none of the devices recorded any readings from the cube. No heat signature, no magnetic field, no chemical trace. To the machines, it didn't exist at all. Yet every person who touched it felt it, not physically, but in their mind. "This is beyond any technology we've seen," one scientist whispered. "It's like the cube is aware." They tried slowing the audio of the cube's voice. They found hidden layers, microscopic pulses between the words, almost like a second conversation happening in another language, one no one recognized. Dr. Hell rubbed his temples. "This isn't just a machine. This is an interface. That cube is how the ship talks to people." The warship reacts while the scientists worked. The warship began to change. From the bridge, Lyra Vaughn, now stationed temporarily aboard the flagship, noticed faint patterns glowing along the ship's hull. They looked like ancient runes, or circuitry lines, slowly lighting up. She turned to the Admiral. "Sir, I think it's waking up." Volus narrowed his eyes. "Keep scanning." But the scans still came back scrambled. It was as if the warship was rewriting the data before it reached their computers. "Sir," one officer shouted, "our internal systems are glitching. Navigation, weapons, even life support monitors are showing errors." The Admiral clenched his jaw. "Is it hacking us?" Dr. Hell, overhearing, shook his head. "Not hacking. It's looking at us." The recon team's second mission. Admiral Volus wasn't a man to back down. He decided to send the recon team again, but this time with heavier security and more advanced equipment. They boarded through the same hatch as before. Inside, the path lights appeared again, leading them deeper into the vessel. This time, the path forked. One route led back to the cube chamber. The other descended into a wide hallway with walls that shifted and changed texture. As if alive, the team followed the new path. They came to a massive hangar and froze. Inside were rows of strange ships, each one sleek, black, and shaped like blades. They were smaller than the warship, but radiated the same sense of silent menace. "Sir," one soldier whispered, "if these things are operational." They didn't finish the sentence. The second contact with the cube, half the team returned. to the cube chamber. As they entered, the cube was already glowing faintly, turning on its axis. "You have returned." Hell stepped forward. "Yes, we seek knowledge. We wish to understand your purpose." The cube paused, then replied, "Knowledge is not free. What will you give?" The team glanced at each other. Hell took a deep breath. "What do you want?" "Truth." Hell frowned. "Truth about what?" "Your species, your wars, your lies." It was as if the ship was interrogating them. The first glimpse of human history, the cube's surface shimmered. And suddenly, the entire chamber changed. The walls, floor, and ceiling dissolved into a projection of space. The recon team stood in the middle of a massive holographic battlefield. They saw fleets clashing, but the ships on one side were unlike anything they knew. They were angular, aggressive in design, marked with a strange blue and white emblem. And they were destroying the enemy with terrifying efficiency. Hell realized something. These ships were human. Impossible. He muttered, "Humans are primitive. They're barely interstellar." But the hologram showed otherwise. Human ships outnumbered, surrounded, yet winning every battle. Every shot they fired hit. Every maneuver trapped the enemy. And then they saw it, the same warship they were standing inside now, leading the charge. The fleet in panic back on. The Vonner's pride. The crew began picking up strange transmissions, bursts of encrypted data coming from the warship, shooting into deep space. One officer shouted, "Admiral, that thing is sending messages we can't trace where." Volis slammed his fist. "Shut it down, jam the signal." But jamming didn't work. The data simply bent around the interference as if ignoring them entirely. Then, without warning, the warship's hull pulsed with light. The escort cruisers reported sudden power drops, shields flickering, weapons going offline. "This isn't an attack." Dr. Hell's voice crackled over comms. "It's scanning you the way you tried to scan it." The scientist who wanted more among the research team was Torvask, a young and ambitious scientist. He saw opportunity. If he could extract the data from the cube, he could sell it to rival governments for unimaginable wealth. While the others focused on the hologram, Tor secretly activated a personal recorder and copied the visuals and partial audio. But the moment he did, the cube's glow flared, and Tor froze as the voice spoke only to him. Greed detected. Tor's heart raced. "What?" "Violation recorded." The light dimmed again. Tor said nothing to the others, hiding his recorder in his suit. The projection ends. The hologram faded, returning the chamber to its original metallic state. Hell looked at the cube. "Why show us this?" "Because you seek to understand. You must see the truth of humans before you decide." "Decide what?" The cube was silent. The path lights lit again, leading to the exit. The path lights lit again, leading to the exit. Fleet's uneasy debate back aboard the flagship. The recon team gave their report. The admiral listened, arms crossed, face unreadable. "You're telling me the ship fought in wars centuries ago? And humans commanded it?" "Yes, sir," Hell replied. "And they won every battle we saw." Lyra, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. "Sir, if this is true, and humans have this kind of technology, what does that mean for the rest of the galaxy?" The admiral didn't answer. But deep inside he already knew it meant danger. The warship watches that night. While most of the crew slept, the warship turned slightly, its nose pointing toward the nearest star system. Sensors picked up a brief spike of energy inside the vessel, as if something massive had just powered on. And in the science lab, the cube sat in silence until its surface rippled for just a moment, displaying words in an ancient human language. "Standby. Orders pending." The Vonner's Pride floated near the massive black warship, its crew tense and silent. Days had passed since the second boarding mission, but the strange vessel had not moved or sent any more messages. Admiral Volis sat in the command chair, staring at the silent shape on the viewscreen. He didn't like mysteries. Mysteries got people killed. Behind him, Dr. Hel Vacker studied the partial hologram recordings they had brought back from inside the ship. The scene still played in his mind, human fleets crushing enemy armadas. Always outnumbered, never losing, Volis finally broke the silence. "Doctor, I want answers. Who are these humans, really? And why have we never heard of this war?" Hel shook his head. "Sir, if these records are accurate, then history has been changed. Someone erased them. Entire centuries of human history, gone." Volis's eyes narrowed. "And the ship?" Hel's voice lowered. "Sir, the ship is not abandoned. It's waiting for orders." Decoding the hidden data in the science bay, the researchers worked day and night. They had noticed something strange. Embedded inside the visuals from the cube were encrypted files, hidden in the light patterns of the hologram. Lyra Vaughn, assisting with the decoding, looked up from her console. "This encryption isn't alien," she said slowly. "It's human. Old human." The team worked for hours, breaking layers of code until at last, images and text began to appear on their screens. They saw classified military reports, mission logs, and technical specifications for weapons far beyond current galactic technology. And they saw names of ships, names of human admirals, and names of campaigns. One file was labeled Operation Guardian Shield. Operation Guardian Shield. The file opened into a large text log with attached video. The text was written in simple, direct human language. Guardian-class autonomous warships deployed to protect human colonies and strategic sectors. Units to remain hidden unless human assets are directly threatened. Engagement rules, overwhelming. Force, 0 losses acceptable. Mission duration, indefinite. Hel read it aloud to the Admiral. Volis's face darkened. "So this thing is one of those Guardians." The video attached to the file played next. It showed a single Guardian warship, the same vessel now drifting before them, arriving. In a war zone, enemy fleets surrounded a human colony. In less than 10 minutes, every hostile ship was destroyed with surgical precision. Not one shot missed. Not one civilian ship was touched. The video ended, with the warship broadcasting a single message: status confirmed. Area secure. Resuming standby. The fleet's unease when the data was shared with the fleet's senior officers. The reaction was immediate. "This means the humans have more of these ships," one captain said grimly, "or had," another corrected. "We don't know if they're still active." Dr. Hel shook his head. The cube said it was awaiting orders. "That means it expects orders from someone." The Admiral tapped his fingers on the armrest. "And if humans still command these ships, the balance of power in the galaxy changes overnight." The scientist's secret, in the middle of the debate. Tor Vask, the ambitious scientist who had secretly copied the cube's holograms, worked alone in his quarters. He connected his private recorder to an encrypted comms unit, trying to send the stolen data to an anonymous buyer in the Vorath Syndicate. But before he could transmit, his console flickered. Words appeared in glowing red letters. "Unauthorized transfer detected." Tor's blood ran cold. The console shut off completely. Then, his lights went out. In the dark, he heard the same voice from the cube, whispering inside his mind. "Security breach. Subject flagged." The lights came back on. Everything seemed normal, except his recorder was gone. The warship's move hours later. Without warning, the massive warship came to life. Bright lines of red light streaked across its hull. Panels shifted, revealing enormous weapons hidden. Within, the entire vessel turned slowly toward the fleet. "Shields up." Admiral Volis ordered instantly. The escort cruisers formed a defensive wall in front of the flagship, but the warship didn't fire. Instead, it broadcast a single message in every known language: "Stand down. Human jurisdiction. The words echoed through every ship in the fleet. On the bridge, Lyra's voice was almost a whisper. "It's telling us we're in its territory." The warship began emitting a strange pulse, not toward space, but toward the fleet itself. One by one, each ship's systems froze. Screens went black, lights flickered. Then, data began appearing on every display, personal records, histories, even secret crimes of crew members. "Sir," one officer stammered, "it knows everything about us." The admiral gritted his teeth. "Hell, what's it doing?" Hell's eyes were wide. "It's judging us, deciding who's a threat." On the screen, red symbols appeared next to certain crew names. The first warning, one of the escort captains, panicked, ordered his crew to fire. Blue energy bolts streaked toward the warship and vanished mid-space, erased as if they had never existed. A moment later, the warship's voice thundered through every ship. "First warning." No one spoke after that. The fleet held position, silent and tense. The hidden transmission, while all eyes were on the warship. A quiet signal pulsed from it, directed far into deep space. The signal was short, only 3 words in ancient human code. Status confirmed. "Ready." Dr. Hell saw the signal but didn't understand its destination. All he knew was that it wasn't meant for them. The Admiral's dilemma back in his quarters. Admiral Volus paced. This wasn't just a dangerous relic. It was part of a larger network. If one of these ships could disable an entire fleet without firing, what could a dozen do? He looked out at the black shape in the distance. "What are you waiting for?" He muttered. In the silence, no answer came. But somewhere inside that ship, the cube pulsed once, like the beat of a heart. The dark warship hung in the void like a shadow. Its massive black hull reflected no light, but faint red lines pulsed along its sides like veins awakening after a long sleep. The Vonner's Pride and its escort cruisers kept a wary distance, sensors fixed on every movement. The fleet's tension was thick. No one dared relax. Admiral Kervolis stood on the flagship's bridge, eyes locked on the viewscreen. His voice was calm, but every word carried weight. "We must know what this thing wants. We came here to learn, not to die." Behind him, the science team worked feverishly, monitoring the warship's hull energy patterns. A sudden change without warning. The warship's outer panels shifted. Hidden weapons emerged, giant cannons, missile launchers, and energy arrays. Previously unseen. The escort cruisers snapped into battle formation. Energy shields glowed bright blue, and targeting systems locked onto the warship's weapons. The flagship's captain, Res Lorne, tightened his grip on the console. Shields at full power, weapons armed, but the warship did not fire. Instead, a voice echoed from every speaker and comm system on every ship, clear and strong, in perfect ancient human speech, translated by their universal translators. "Stand down." Human jurisdiction. Silence followed the words. No one spoke. No one moved. The message repeated in all known languages. Ancient and modern. The warships scanned suddenly. The warship emitted a wave of energy, not a weapon blast, but a scanning pulse that flowed through the fleet like a cold wind. Systems on the escort cruisers flickered. Life support monitors stuttered. Weapon controls froze. Every screen began showing personal data about the crew aboard each ship. Names, service records, criminal histories, even family information. Panic rose quickly. Admiral Volus's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold your fire. This is not an attack." "It's a scan," a young officer gasped. "It's reading us." "Yes," Hell replied grimly from the science station. "It's judging us." Red symbols appeared next to several names on every ship's display, marks indicating a threat. The first shot, and its failure. An escort captain, ignoring orders, gave the command to fire. Energy blasts launched toward the warship. Seconds later, the shots vanished mid-space as if erased by invisible hands. The warship's voice rang out. Louder this time. First warning. Cease hostile action or face destruction. The fleet fell. Silent. Fear rooted every officer to their stations. Back to the flagship Admiral Volus paced. He had never faced anything like this before. This is not just a ship, he muttered. It's a guardian, a weapon, a judge. Dr. Hell stepped forward. It's designed to protect humans, to defend Earth and its colonies, and to punish anyone who threatens them. Volus's gaze hardened. But what if humans never send the orders? What if it acts on its own? Hell swallowed. Then we are in serious trouble. Unexpected message suddenly. The warship's voice shifted, softer but colder. Your intentions are unclear. Prove your loyalty or be purged. The fleet's communications were flooded with the same demand in all languages. Officers whispered to each other. Who could prove loyalty to a species they barely understood? Volus gritted his teeth. We need to respond carefully. This warship is testing us. The secret inside back in the lab. Lyra Vaughn stared at the cube's recordings. She noticed a new pattern in the holograms, a faint signal hidden beneath the battles. It's a code, she told Hell, a message humans left inside the ship. They worked for hours decrypting the signal. It was a warning, a history, and a command all in one. The message said humans had been nearly destroyed centuries ago by enemies now forgotten. The warships were built as a last hope, guardians, to wake if the galaxy ever again threatened humanity. And now, Lyra whispered, it is waking. An unexpected arrival suddenly. The warship's sensors picked up movement in a nearby system. A small fleet of alien ships approaching. Unknown vessels entering sector. Reported an officer. Volus ordered immediate readiness. The alien fleet was moving fast, weapons armed. The warship rotated. Its guns trained silently on the incoming ships. The tense standoff. The new fleet stopped at the edge of the warship's scanning range. Communications began, but the new aliens' voices were hostile, accusing the humans of war crimes long forgotten. Volus frowned. This could start a battle. But before weapons fired, the warship sent a message, clear and cold. Leave now. This sector is under human protection. Failure to comply will result in destruction. The alien fleet hesitated, then turned away, engines flaring in retreat. The aftermath, the fleet breathed a collective sigh of relief. The warship had saved them without firing a shot. But the question remained, what would happen next? Volus knew the warship was more than a machine. It was a legacy of human power, waiting in silence for a war that may never come. The final warning in the last hours before the fleet prepared to leave the sector. The warship sent one final message. To Earth, stand by. More Guardians awakening. The galaxy was about to change forever. The Vonner's pride floated silently near the black warship, still pulsing faint red lines over its hull. The escort cruisers kept tight formation, their weapons trained but unmoving. Admiral Volus sat in his quarters, staring at the reports pouring in from the science teams. Something about this warship did not add up. It was more than just a weapon or a guardian. Dr. Hell Vacker entered, holding a datapad filled with decoded files. Admiral, Hell said, we have found something disturbing. Volus looked up sharply. Go on. The hidden archive. Hell tapped on the pad, and a hologram projected into the room. It showed a sealed chamber deep inside the warship, a vault of sorts. The ship's core holds a hidden archive, Hell explained. Data files, records, and logs from a war long erased from history. Volus's eyes narrowed. What war? Hell hesitated. The war between humans and the Zalcath Empire. Forgotten history. The Zalcath were one of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful empires, known for their ruthless expansion and advanced technology. But official records said humans had never fought them, only peaceful trade. The archive proved otherwise. Hundreds of battle logs showed brutal fights between humans and Zalcath fleets. Human ships were fewer but used clever tactics, advanced weapons, and relentless determination to survive. The Human Legacy 1 file contained a personal log from a human admiral named Elena Vark. She spoke of hope and desperation, of fighting to save Earth and human colonies from annihilation. The log described how the Guardian warships were created, built to fight without rest, protect without mercy. I'll read aloud. Our enemies believe us weak, but we are not. We fight to live. We fight to protect our home. These Guardians are our final shield. Volus felt a chill. This changes everything we thought about humans. The Admiral's warning. Volus gathered his officers in the strategy room. This warship is not just a relic. It is part of a fleet built for total war. If humans decide to use them again, no one can stop them. A young officer asked, but humans are so far behind now. How could they still control these ships? Hal shook his head. We don't know, but the ship's AI is still active and waiting. The warship's AI speaks. Suddenly, the warship's voice echoed through the fleet. It spoke in a calm, measured tone. I am Guardian Unit HV1. My mission: protect humanity and its interests. Threats will be neutralized. The message sent a shiver through every listener. Volus asked aloud, what interests? And who decides? No answer came. A new threat emerges. Sensors picked up an incoming signal. A large fleet from the Zereth Dominion. A powerful alien force known for conquest. The fleet was heading straight toward the human warship's position. Volus ordered the fleet to prepare for battle. This could be the start of something bigger, he warned. The battle begins. The Zereth ships launched missiles and energy blasts at the warship. But the Guardian absorbed the attacks. Its armor repairing instantly. It responded with precision strikes, disabling enemy vessels one by one without destroying civilian ships. The battle was short and brutal. The Zereth fleet retreated, terrified of the Guardian's power. Aftermath and fear. The fleet cheered, but Volus felt unease. We may have won this battle, he said, but the war is far from over. Hal nodded. These Guardians are weapons no one truly controls. A secret message that night. The warship sent a coded signal directly to Earth. Status report. Hostile forces engaged. Guardian active. Awaiting further orders. Volus stared at the message. The galaxy will never be the same. The galaxy reacts. News of the Guardian warship and its unstoppable power spread like wildfire across the stars. The Vonner's Pride fleet relayed their findings to the Galactic Council, sparking panic and urgent meetings. Alien worlds once indifferent to humanity now viewed Earth with a mix of fear and curiosity. Allies whispered of war preparations, while enemies plotted ways to destroy or control the Guardians. Earth's secret, thousands of light years away. On Earth, the truth was hidden deep underground in a vast complex known only to a few. Human Legacy Command. Commander Sarah Vark, a direct descendant of Admiral Elena Vark, watched the live feed of the alien fleet near the warship. Our ancestors left us these ships, Sarah said quietly. They waited for this moment when humanity would rise again. Awakening the fleet. Sarah activated a secure console. One by one, ancient starships scattered across the solar system flickered to life. Powerful Guardians, silent for centuries, began to awaken. In orbit and on distant colonies. Similar warships responded to the activation signal, powering up their engines and systems. Prepare to defend humanity, Sarah ordered. A call for unity back in the Galactic Council chambers. A debate raged. The Zillan delegates argued for peace and negotiation, hoping to avoid a galaxy-wide war. The Zereth Dominion demanded the immediate destruction of the Guardians, fearing their own empire's collapse. But many factions agreed on one thing. Humanity's power could no longer be ignored. The return of the Guardians. The awakened Guardians launched from hidden bases, moving swiftly to join the original warship, Admiral. Volus and his fleet watched as the sky darkened with the arrival of dozens of colossal human warships, each bearing the same black armor and red glowing veins. "They're back," Lyra whispered, awe and fear mingling in her voice. The first human command a new transmission came from Earth. It was clear, firm, and unmistakably human. "This is Commander Sarah Vark of the Human Legacy Command. The Guardians have awakened to protect humanity and its allies. Any aggression will be met with overwhelming force." The message shook every government and military force across the galaxy. An uneasy alliance faced with the threat and power of the Guardians. Many alien factions sought alliances with humanity. Some hoped to gain protection. Others wanted to avoid destruction, but trust was fragile. Old grudges and past wars complicated diplomacy. The warship's true purpose in the depths of the warship's core, the cube, the AI, began to unlock more of its secrets. It revealed that the Guardians were not only weapons, but also sentinels of knowledge. They held archives of human history, science, and culture, a legacy meant to survive any apocalypse. A new threat emerges amid the uneasy peace. New signals appeared, unknown fleets moving silently through uncharted space. These ships did not respond to communications and carried weapons unlike any the galaxy had seen. Admiral Volus warned, "The galaxy is on the brink of war again. And this time, it's not just humans or known aliens. Something else is coming." Preparing for the future humanity, awakened and stronger, prepared to meet this new challenge, Commander Sarah Vark stood on the bridge of the flagship Guardian. Looking out at the stars, "This is our time," she said firmly. "The galaxy will remember humanity, not as weak, but as the strongest force it has ever faced." Final words. The ancient warships, once silent and forgotten, now sailed boldly among the stars, and as the Guardians activated, their glowing red veins spread across the galaxy. A warning, a promise, and a new beginning. Humanity had awakened.